What's up, guys? My name is Guile, and you are watching Cast 8 of the Forged Alliance Forever promotional series. And as the more astute of you will recognize immediately, we have some really key players in this one today. I want to just start by saying a big thank you to Anril for creating the Facebook page. If you haven't liked that already and you do use Facebook, please do go to www.facebook.com/ForgedAllianceForever and like that page. He's going to be putting lots of regular media and news up on that, so it'll be a really good place to follow it. So, like I said, we've got some really key players on this 2v2v2 today. It's going to be the one and only Salui. I do apologise, in Cast 6 I did say Salui was playing, got absolutely rolled by Jaguar, but that's because it wasn't Salui. It was a cheeky imposter who'd added an extra S at the end of his name. This, however, is the real McCoy. And we've also got some other really big players that a lot of you might recognise. We've got the one and only Mephistophile, very serious player from back in the day. And Team 1, which we'll call it up here, we've got TLO and TBO. That is the little one and the big one. For those of you that are new to Forged Alliance and don't know, may even be new to StarCraft or not play it at all, TLO is now a pretty serious pro gamer. He does play a lot of StarCraft, because that's where the money is. So if you come here from StarCraft, this is a real strategy game for you. Joke. Yeah, so it's going to be Team 1 is going to be TLO and TBO on this top left island. Mephistophile's teammate on Team 2 is going to be Monarch, and on Team 3 we've got Salui teamed up with Mental. Mephistophile is going to be the odd one out here. He's playing as Cybrin. Everybody else is a mix of Aeon and UEF. Aeon very strong, obviously, because this is a classic match. This was 3-5-9-8. So back in the day, lots of people favoured Aeon. They've still got some fantastic toys, but of course the Restorer spam was so nasty. It could take on ASFs and beat them in relative numbers every time, and still do so much damage against the ground. But of course they got a nerf. I do believe it was 3603, so that's a little bit more balanced these days. The map itself is going to be the Dark Heart, and I think I'm right in saying this is the only dedicated 2v2v2 map that was in vanilla Subcom. So this was one of the original GPG maps. And there just aren't enough. I love this dynamic of 2v2v2. It's really interesting, but there just aren't enough maps that are well structured, balanced, and dedicated to it. I did have a go myself a little while ago at producing one with disastrous consequences, let me just tell you. So if anybody else out there is more talented than me, with which I'm sure there are many, please have a go, because we could always do with more maps. You can see an early ghetto gunship coming in from Mephistophile, and it looks like TLO is going to be completely caught off guard here. He's got no interceptors, and even if he did, he's got some flanking protection here, Mephistophile. He's going to be working on taking out 3 or 4 engineers, working on the T1 power of TLO, and this is really going to hamper his start. You can see his commander isn't there to assist with any of the building. He's made a move to the middle to match Mephistophile, make a move for this middle island between them. But 3 T1 power down, 4, looks like 5 or 6, putting some damage on this air factory here. 1 T1 anti-air turret gone up, but it's out of range of this, and he's trying to get another one up closer. Looks like TBO's coming in to help that done, so the brothers working in perfect unison there, but still going to suffer very heavily for this. And let's see, will he drop the assault bots off in time? Yes, he will. So 6 hunters on the ground, and this opening is so annoying. The amount of times I've been caught out by it, I can't even begin to tell you. And so those engineers are all going to go down. Of course, if his commander had been there, he might have been able to do something about it, but he's nowhere to be seen. He's off over here. Meanwhile, up top, Mental has made a grab for the middle island, and it looks like a reasonably even amount of units down here on bottom. However, Salui has managed to get a factory up, and so that looks like it may well be a win for him. And some early T2 blazes coming out from Salui, so really capturing this corner island a priority. He's also stacked some units up in the middle. These assault bots still going. So many T1 power wrecks, but that nice T1 bomber run there will take out most of them. And hopefully, maybe on the next pass, he'll be able to clear it up. TBO finally bringing his commander in. Just had enough of this. Stop bullying my brother. But there it goes. And that's the end of some very nice harass there from Mephistophile. And you can see how much damage it's done from the scores. TLO and TBO definitely short stacking at this point at the bottom of the score list. And these Auroras aren't going to fare too well against Blazes, so Monarch just withdraws them there. Some pinging going on and a small air on air fracas. Over on the left hand side, a quick commander on commander fight as Mephistophile sees the little one in the middle of an upgrade. Whether or not he'll actually finish that, I don't know. If we have a look at how he's doing resource-wise, he's floating a huge amount of mass and not producing enough power. Hardly surprising after most of it was taken out by that ghetto gunship. But nice alternative use of the T1 bomb there, trying to do some harass, trying to put Mephistophile off his game, but I think that's going to be dealt with very, very swiftly by these T1 interceptors. However, some early navy coming out from TBO, trying to focus on Mephistophile. And of course, there's a lot of combat happening on this side. I mean, there's a little bit going on here and here. There's a little combat com on com going here with Monarch and Salui. Salui looks like he's going to back out and go into the water. But generally, Team 3 seems to have escaped with the least amount of engagements, and that's never what you want. If there's one player you want to harass throughout the game, it's going to be Salui, because he is so dangerous. But he is moving back onto the middle now. Looks like he's determined to make a play for this middle set of island. TLO going on the offensive with his commander. Not sure whether he finished that upgrade or not, or what it was. He's just cycling, recycling units and destroying them. And looks like he might take the better of this island. Mephistophile moving away and taking fire from some of TBO's T1 Navy while he's at it. Mephistophile has also made a play for the middle. He's got this land factory up here, taking one of the mass, nice radar, sorry, two of the mass, nice radar, and he's pumping out engineers. Looks like he's going to go on a recycling mission, but of course he probably doesn't know that Salui is sitting in the middle. Actually, he does, because he's got that radar there, but he might not know that that's his commander. Meanwhile, he's forced to retreat back into his own base from TBO's navy. So lots happening. Cheeky T2 turret going up from on the cliff face from the sea from TBO. I like that play a lot. That's very good. I didn't even realise that you could do that at that range, but I guess, yeah, I suppose that cliff is not that big. A few power plants going down from... So this is retribution for what he did to his brother. I'm sure this is every bit as satisfying as it looks. TLO now trying to work on some T1 torpedo defense, but so many Auroras on the field from Monarch. Doesn't look like that's going to go very far. And Monarch and TBO now exchanging fire on the beach in front of Mephistophile's base. So all very, very even, but I'm just very concerned about Team 3. They seem to be getting off lightly. There's so much engagement happening between Team 1 and Team 2. It's definitely putting the advantage in their favour, or in their side, but the TBO taking too much fire there, ducking back into the water, not wanting to overcommit very sensibly. And you can see TLO has actually managed to capture this Cybran, so has managed to gain Cybran tech. Whether or not he does much with it, we shall see. But the important thing is he's secured this side island, and that does hem Mephistophile in somewhat, which is always important, because it's another player you don't want to leave with too much mass. But some T2 sub-hunters, or sorry, torpedo boats I should say, because he's playing, Mental's playing UEF, but still very, very dangerous, putting fire down on the big one, and he and his brother are desperately trying to spam up some T2 torpedo defense. If they can keep that alive, these guys may have to retreat. On the right hand side of the island, a few Auroras coming in from Salui, but a governor on the field from Mental, so really, really taking the fight to it. And this feels like a really unfair set of harassment on Team 2, but I guess they did start all of that trouble with that ghetto gunship on the left, so you really do reap what you sow, especially in a free-for-all or a 2v2v2. Mercy's on the field in great number, coming out now from TBO. Mephistophile and Monarch's commanders very, very exposed, but they get shot down promptly. That would look like 3 or 4 Mercies in the bin because of that governor. They're so weak. You really, really don't want to leave that out. And of course, Mental wouldn't have known they were coming in, but he probably would have moved his ship if he had, because it would have been in his favour for Mephistophile to go out of the game at this early stage. See if he's producing any more. Still producing mercies and sending them over. I do like this play, but you could see how on the back foot Team 1 were. Another one going down from that cover again. He really needs to steer it around the left-hand side. Meanwhile, Mephistophile putting fire on that T2 turret, and the little one getting hastily upgraded by the engineers and his brother. But Mercy's still in production. The only problem is he doesn't really want to tip Mephistophile off that that's what he's going for. He doesn't want him to be able to get in the water or get out the way or generally get safe. So it would be good if he would stack a few up. It looks like that's what he's doing. He's got 3 on the field, 4th one in production. And this will be a nice illustration of just how many mercies you need to take down a commander. He is sitting at 8,000 hit points and taking fire. Down to 2,500 hit points with 4 mercies. So it looks like 6 or 7 is probably the key you need, and there it goes. If he's at full health, Mephistophile takes an early loss in this game, and that puts Team 2 at a heavy disadvantage. Monarch now sitting on the side of the thing. Obviously this is not FAF, this is a classic match, so there is no auto give feature, so if that's not passed in time by your teammate, your structures will go up. TLO and TBO not wasting any time, moving straight in for base cap. Going to take these 4 mass, maybe this one down here, and put pressure on Monarch. But of course, all this time, Team 3 just sitting back here, allowed to macro, building up a little bit of a navy, some shield boats down here protecting things. 2 governors on the field now. And you just get the feeling like something needs to be done to deal with this. And it's amazing, only 17 minutes gone, and it feels like so much has happened already in this match. T2 mass extractor under fire there from the governors, and the other governor going straight after the expansion base for TLO and TBO. But yeah, interesting. T3 air now on the field for TBO. And it's always useful at this stage of the game to try and out-tech your opponents first. You get some early strap bombs up, you might be able to do a comm snipe before too much shielding goes up. Certainly I feel maybe you could try and go for another mercy snipe on one of these commanders, but they mostly seem to be hiding in the water, except for Monarch, who just seem a little bit exposed. But of course they don't necessarily want to evict Monarch at this stage of the game, because definitely Mental and Salui, despite the score, it's a little bit misleading. Obviously the big one scoring that kill on Mephistophile gave him a huge points lead, but Mental and Salui definitely the strongest looking players in this game at the moment. So you don't really want to finish off Team 2 while they're so strong. Team 1 needs to do some damage to Team 2, hope that Monarch puts in some harass on Salui, maybe denies some of this base down here, but yeah, it's going to be interesting for sure. Some buzz kills now going up in place, dealing with these TAC missiles from the governors. And it looks like this base is here to stay, but very ambitious drop from TLO, taking his commander in with 3 Percivals. This is seriously serious stuff. He must be teched up. That must have been the upgrade we saw going earlier, was the T3 upgrade for manufacturing. He's going to be getting stuff up so quickly. Early T1 turret, point defense going up, 2, 3, 4. But broadswords in the air will cause all kinds of problems. He hasn't got anything he can deal with that. He's trying to build some T1 anti-air turrets, but that's not going to do a lot, especially not against 2 of them. But still making a mess of their base while he's at it. Very ballsy play, and this is how TLO and TBO like to play. They don't waste a lot of time on defensive structures, but TLO taking a lot of fire, 1 shield going up there, trying to work on a second, but that will go down, and so will he. TLO out of the game, but he does manage to give all of his stuff over to his brother, so TBO now sitting in a nice position. It's kind of interesting because it's like it's a sacrifice, right? He knew the risks, he was prepared for it, so Team 1 hasn't really lost anything except a little bit of build power from that ACU, the attention span of 1 other player, but at the same time you're putting all of that mass and energy into 1 person's hands so they can do more targeted attacks, while at the same time TLO's commander going Nova in Mental's base has literally destroyed it. There's virtually nothing left, which really does hamper Team 3, which does exactly what I said they really needed to do, even the odds. So it seemed like desperation, but was actually kind of a cunning play when you look at it from a team perspective. Definitely ballsy play there from TLO. And those of you from StarCraft will recognize that style. It's much how he plays in everything that he does. TBO working on another upgrade at the back here, perhaps working on T3 himself. Needs to start working though, because you can see what I'm saying about this offensive work. They've got literally nothing in their base. Could be have absolute havoc wreaked upon them if they were to be attacked by any kind of gunship rush, strap bomber rush. There's nothing in terms of shielding or defense. Whereas you look at the sort of the density and the turtling of Monarch, who's been under fire the whole game, looking a lot more secure, even though he's coming under governor fire. But if we look at the mass that they've gained one at a time, Mental sitting on 56, TBO sitting on 120, floating huge amounts of mass, but he is at least now making use of it. Salui can't be sitting on 121, must be reclaiming something. No, it looks like he's sitting on 121. Or maybe even 132. So he's been upgrading. Look at that, he's got T3 mexes sitting everywhere. So he has done a very nice job of staying up with the macro, and that is why he was one of the greats. But oh my god, cheeky strap bomber rush. I do apologize. Fantastic comm snipe with the strap bombers there from TBO. And that has turned this game into a 1v1v1, and you can see Mental completely unprepared for it, as was I. Didn't even see that coming in, I do apologise, but not able to give his stuff over to his teammates, so Salui not benefiting from any extra mass or power. And now thinking about moving his fleet around the side of Monarch's base. I guess he feels like he needs to make something happen. He has snuck a few Auroras around the back, but they're being tidied up without too much difficulty from those blazes. And Team 1 just wrecking all kinds of havoc after having the most horrendous start. But that is their aggressive playstyle. But just for now, I'm going to knock this up to +3, just so we can see how the game's going to progress. And I sort of feel like there's a lot of units down here that Blazes up against. Even more Blazes, actually. On the other hand, I can see why he's not attacking. There's not much for him to go after on the bottom down there. But slight incursion on TBO's main base with Restorers. You can see very little in the way of base defense, but he looks like he just has enough to deal with this Restorer before it'll do any real significant damage. All mainly T1 anti-air, the 3 T2 turrets, 4, 5, 6, so he's actually got plenty there. But deciding not to get too involved with the main base, he's moved this Restorer across to the back island, and will be sniping out the last of these two mass points out here, and there's very little TBO can do about it. He doesn't have any ASFs, still producing bombers here, torpedo bombers in fact. Probably thinking about maybe going after some kind of comm snipe, but I don't see any. Salui is in the water at the moment, it looks like. But down the bottom, these blazes are getting absolutely encircled. Salui's getting completely encircled by Monarch, and dramatically thinned out. And if he manages to take these up, he might be able to secure this middle island between Salui and himself, and Team 3's influence being dramatically reduced bit by bit. You can see this hero Restorer sitting on 7 kills. So pesky when there's one air unit hovering around that you can't do anything about, but is now producing ASFs, TBO, so he can go after it when that comes out, and that will hopefully finish it off. Blazes going off-road up the top here, and they should be able to deal with the Auroras without any real difficulty whatsoever. And the havoc that this one gunship has wreaked. 10 kills now. Artillery bearing down now on TBO's expansion that they set up earlier from Monarch's base. doesn't look like Salui has any real answer for what's going on down here. He's probably going to have to yield it for now. But he is making a move onto the top island. And it's interesting, TBO hasn't sent any engineers over there earlier, but I don't really blame him. He's very, very stretched right now. Is working on a GC. And there's another GC that's already operational over here. So the battle has moved into the experimental phase. The big one very aggressively moving his commander onto the main island. You can see he's gone for the shield upgrade for that little bit of extra protection against comm sniping, and just wants to deny these two T2 mexes, and sorry, three T2 mexes and one T1 mex in the middle, but needs to get a move on because there is a Colossus bearing down on him very, very quickly. Will he get in range? Will he get into the water? Oh, and he's that shield's so strong. Look at that, literally taking a laser in the face, and he makes it into the water, and now has the backup of his own Colossus bearing down on him. Not going to be able to do much with that. I started reclaiming the Colossus as it walks into, of course, the one thing Colossus really lacks is any kind of underwater attack. Slight malfunctioning gun there, probably the water shorting out his face. Just a little case of follow my leader going on here. T3 torpedo bomber getting one quick bombing run in there, doing a little bit of damage what he can. But this is a sticky situation for TBO. There's so much navy on the shore here. Doesn't want to take his commander on the shore and get sniped by this Galactic Colossus, and at the same time is going to take fire from Salui's torpedo bombers. And even with the shield upgrade, you can only survive so many passes with those. But has got a decent amount of flak, and it looks like that torpedo bomber did not make it round for a second run. And just the most ludicrous game of in and out of the water being played by these two GCs as they posture around trying to get into the right position to do what damage they can without losing. But a lot of shield gens here from Salui, and that could make the difference in this fight. 2 or 3 on the beach here for the big one. 1 down for the big one. Second one down. Needs to focus on this GC if he wants to win this battle. Salui just focusing nicely on him, but doesn't want to be microing his Colossus like that. Is definitely going to lose the battle if he's not careful. Bringing his commander onto the shore, the big one. Very gutsy play. Not electing, I don't know whether Salui's not paying attention, not electing to focus on the commander. Overcharging, and that will be a very effective way to deal with a GC. I do wonder if Salui was paying attention there, but meanwhile he has got his own problems. He's taking T2 artillery fire from Monarch's cliff face. His navy's been sitting there, don't know how long that's been going on, but certainly see how much he can reach with his artillery pieces. You can see there, not a great deal, but 1 or 2 shipyards just in range, it looks like. So this one can be reached, and certainly any ships that hover in that area, so Louis had to back them out. Meanwhile, a few destroyers on the field from Monarch, just kind of pushing up this left hand side. He has cleared out this one-time fire base from Team 1 and reclaimed it for himself, and that's going to be a very welcome chunk of mass for him. TBO trying to spam up this Colossus, probably needs to think about moving off, and he does. But a vicious amount of air power from Salui, who certainly seems to have air superiority on the field, and that's always a worry when you're facing off against an Aeon because of those dreadful restorers we were talking about earlier. More torpedo bombers on the field for Salui. These blazes still haven't finished off design, and finally dealing with this T1 factory. Not electing to go after it himself at the moment. At this stage, he's probably very, very concerned about the reach of these cruisers and destroyers, which is kind of understandable. I probably wouldn't invest a lot of time and energy into that island myself, but might be worth maybe sending one engineer up, see if you get a couple of T1 mexes on there that can go unnoticed for any period of time. Every little bit of mass helps after all. But this GC nearly done. That'll be 2 GCs on the field for the big one, which will hopefully get him back into this game. He's looking a little bit isolated down here. Not much in the way of units or base defense. Is firing the occasional artillery shell at the middle island. And interesting, just going after the wrecks first instead of electing to cap these points. Looks like maybe that's on next. No, he's going to reclaim them instead. Fair enough. Store is taking care of the scouting ASFs there from Salui. Pretty serious forces now for Salui, moving into position, thinking he doesn't feel like he can make much of an impact down here with all of this artillery, so instead he's going to put it to better use and he's going to think about harassing TBO, it looks. Caesar in production for Salui, and that could cause problems. Caesar's so dangerous, if for no other reason than they can get shot down over your base and take out half of it. But it's especially dangerous, of course, if you have air superiority on the field and you manage to get a Caesar, because you can kill everybody else's ASFs and then that thing can go to work. And of course it helps you maintain air superiority because of the magnificent build power that it's got in it for air units. You can really pump out those ASFs and those gunships. Just posturing backwards and forwards from Salui, taking the odd pot shot at this naval factory, which really hasn't produced anything, I don't think, for most of the game. Those first few subs and maybe that Tech 1 frigate that went out right at the beginning, but TBO never really electing to go with a navy on this map. You know, definitely preferring the special weapons, the special tactics, the assassination route for this map. That's certainly the style that these guys like to play, and it's very entertaining. So sneaky, in fact, that I miss one of them, and I tried to refrain from that happening again in the future. But you never know on a free-for-all like this. It's ever so difficult to capture everything. A decent amount of restorers though on the field for TBO, and that's going to offer him a nice combination of anti-air and anti-naval, but doesn't want to leave them landed in there taking fire from those cruisers and destroyers. Really quite a sedentary part of the game, not much going on. Looks like a small drop planned here from Monarch. Where this is going, I don't know. A vulnerable place would definitely be the top here, but look at the tactical missile launchers that TBO has built. That has got to be sucking a fair old amount of mass and power. You see he's on 101, but he's bouncing right off the limiter on the bottom end of it there. And TAC missiles going in straight away, assassinating most of the power for Salui, or certainly a good chunk of it. Salui still doing okay, sitting around the 1800 marks for power. But that is a blow. That's a lot of time and energy that's gone into that. Nearly took that one with him. I think if that one had gone as well, he would have been in trouble. But Monarch electing to come in here with his own restorers. Not sure, obviously, how many TBO had. They were pretty evenly matched, but TBO coming off second best there, I feel. And they did manage to take out the shield gens surrounding the TAC missile launchers, and nobody really wants to be in range of a TAC missile base like this. They're ever so horrendous. And the question is, will he be able to do anything with this navy that's coming in now? It's pretty formidable. He has got a couple of GC though, and these straits are so narrow that you can get Colossus up on the sides and still snipe the ships. There we go. And I think that he's going to have to, Monarch's going to have to turn around and hightail it home. Another one down. Will he get a third, fourth? There we go. And that will probably mark the end of that little attack. Or not. He's just going to sit there on the bottom. He's going to be able to snipe a lot of this stuff. It's not much is done about it, but artillery coming in there sniping a submarine of all things and missing the destroyers. But I have no doubt latter shells will finish those ships off unless they get out of there, which they wisely do. GC's now on the move for TBO straight towards Sir Louis' base, taking pot shots at the shield gens, blazes and cruisers. Sniping some of these cruisers would be nice. 2 of them down, very, very useful. But the Caesar's in operation, and now you're going to see just how effective restorers are. They could probably take this down unless they get taken out really quickly by ASFs. Oh, 4,000 hit points, 2,000 hit points, and there it goes, but it's right over the top of the Colossus. He needs to move those. Ow, and look just how much damage they can do, and they're going to get more than likely picked off by the cruiser fire and the restorer fire. They do. That's 1 down. Will this guy go down? Will he make it into the water? I think not. There he goes. And that is a huge blow for TBO. Good job for taking out the Caesar, but needed to do more in that situation. Not much he could have done, but needed to have more air power. Caesar's so fragile in the sky, but obviously you can see even when they fall, then they're not dead, or they're not refrained from doing damage until they have impacted the ground, and then you will see the full amount of damage they have wrought on you. So very, very. Of course, this is a huge chunk of mass sitting right in front of Sir Louis' base. But could this be a preempted TAC missile to the wreck? It looks like it. Very, very smart move there from TBO, denying that mass, saying no, you can't have any consolation prize, Sir Louis. You are not getting any of that back. Whereas he is taking his commander out, it looks like he's going to do some reclaiming. Not really hurting for mass too much. I guess he is a little bit. But look at that, straight up into the 700s on mass. Can only reclaim a little bit at a time. That's what happens when you have a T3 commander. They're so efficient. Masses of torpedo bombers coming out from TBO now. Still no doubt aware that Sir Louis has been hanging around in the water down here. And Sir Louis, not with any shield upgrades. He's sitting on 1,100 hit points, so he could be very, very vulnerable to a snipe. Torpedo bombers coming in. Little one doesn't want to get too isolated here. Not with Tech 3 torpedo bombers launching that many torpedoes at him. And look at how it brought down that shield. So many hit points on that thing, and yet still 1 pass down to a quarter or a third. Second pass coming in. Taking almost all of it out. Torpedoes coming in now. The question is, have they spotted his commander? And the big one running out of hit points very, very quickly, and there he goes. Sir Louis under fire. Oh my goodness, 2,000 hit points, and there's nothing left. Some TAC missiles coming into the ocean, but unfortunately he's no longer there, and that is a valiant effort. Did he get any more off there? Yes, he did. Down to 1,200 hit points. Sir Louis, I salute you, you lucky SOB. But Team 1 is out of the game. Very nicely played there from Sir Louis. A good effort from the ones, but it was not to be, alas. And this is now a 1v1 scenario between Monarch and Sir Louis. And Monarch has been largely untouched. This looks like a seriously intimidating force of stuff, but it is all spread out. A lot of it's T2 ground units, hover tanks, the blazes. So it's not all navy, but he has started a Tempest, which is over 3/4 done now, and that is more than that. It was damaged. I beg your pardon, and that is serious headaches now for Monarch, because he doesn't have naval superiority, and the range and the damage on a Tempest is so horrendous. Excuse me. Looks like he's going to take the long route round and come around to this side. Sir Louis not wasting any time. To the victor go the spoils, and he's going to start capping mass points on this base, it looks like. So really, it does look like a huge proportion of the map is now in Salui's hands. Team 3 looking very, very strong. And there's not a great deal he can do about it. There is a nuke launcher on the field that he is assisting, so clearly it looks like Monarch is aware that the end game is near, and he is outmatched in terms of units, so he's going for the game ender, trying to turn this around with one or two well-placed nukes. The question is, did Salui see the nuke launcher? Yes, he did. So if he doesn't have nuke defense, he will be trying to spam it up, and there, yep, there it is. And he'll get that up no problem, but the question is, will he get a missile defense missile loaded before that nuke is ready? I suspect he might not. That looks like it's 60-odd% done, and all the engineers in the world are coming to assist it. And a huge gunship rush going in and taking out that nuke defense. So Salui's base now completely vulnerable to nuke attack. Of course, that's not ready. It's interesting, he went then. He may have been concerned. He may not have known how long that had been up. He may just have scouted it, and not wanting to take any chances at this stage in the game, is probably going to go straight for the base. But a bad move might not be to just nuke this fleet, because he's not doing too badly. If you can wrestle this, it prolongs the game, certainly, but if you can wrestle this control back from Salui, take this island, deny this still, he would be on level pegging, if not winning at that point. But it does look like his intention is to go after the base. They very, very quickly spanned up a missile defense, going straight after it again, but losing a lot of restorers in the process, and that could be costly, especially with the Tempest off his shore. That could have been very, very useful. But there goes the nuke. Where will it go? We imagine to his base. And it doesn't look like Salui has anything that can stop that, and indeed he doesn't, and that will cause huge damage. But the amount of units on the field, he's got a nice amount of destroyers down here, but the range on the Tempest and the damage, of course, if you micro correctly and often, the muzzle velocity on that that shell is so slow from that Tempest, you can avoid it. But you've got to be on the move all the time. There you go, nicely done. But there's so much fire coming out here from the rest of the units. I just don't think he has enough, and that'll be another one down. And despite taking out that proportion of his base, it's still not enough. I do wonder how he noticed. I didn't see him scout. Maybe he has a scrying tool that I hasn't noticed, but yeah, I don't see it right at the moment. I probably had scouted it. And this is major headaches for Monarch now, signifying the end of his navy. Once this is dealt with, the base is going to be next, and there's very, very little he can do about it. I mean, if he's got some TAC missiles, which I'm not sure he is, he's certainly got artillery that will be firing at it, but Salui's also got these shield gens which he can just plump in the way, which will offer him some pretty good cover. Oh, he needs to target fire that artillery, and he needs to not be going after the blazes. That is not your problem. Still, everybody assisting that nuke launcher, so he definitely wants to go after the rest of Salui's base, but or these units here. I would really, if I was whispering in his ear right now, I'd be saying, nuke the sea, because if he takes out this Tempest and the majority of these ships, then he's really, I mean, he's on pretty good level pegging. But a GC coming in now from Salui, nicely spammed up. Nuke missile going off. Where's it going to go? Is it going to go onto the sea? No, it is going after the base. But I think at this point that will be moot. It will take out the rest of his land-based structures, but Salui won't mind that one bit. In comes the GC, straight after Monarch's comm. Shield holding out nicely. Will he make it to the water? Oh, 6,000, 5,000, into the water, out of range. Probably wants to think about taking out that nuke launcher, but he's just going after the engineers, going for easy leveling, and a very nice torpedo bomber rush to finish it off from Salui. So Salui takes it. What an epic 2v2v2 that was. I really hope you enjoyed it, guys. I certainly did. There will be more casts coming out soon, I promise. But for now, that's me.